Well, hello, and thank you everyone for joining us for tonight's learning opportunity. I am thrilled to be joined by my good friend and sidekick in various endeavors, Margaret Morgan. Margaret, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me here, Douglas. Looking forward to
You
it.
know, it's going to be fun, and I'm not going to tell anyone that we're not going to create a PhD thesis tonight. We're going to do a fairly quick overview because really, if they have detailed questions, they just need to reach out to you and say, "Well, what about X, Y, and Z?" So, Margaret, if it's okay, I just thought we'd first and foremost get a little background about who you are and where you're from and how you ended up in Colorado.
Sure, sure. I'm originally from Texas. I was, been there since I was 3 and moved around a lot after I got married, but kept ending up back there. And then we ended up here about 8 years ago.
Excellent. And Margaret, you did some interesting work. You did, if I remember correctly, some paralegal work and some project management, some property management, and all kinds of
Mhm.
different things before, more doing more realtor stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about that stuff and how that went?
It was great. I got into I did the stay-at-home mom thing for several years,
Mm.
and then got into paralegal work, focusing on oil and gas law, which is real estate adjacent property management. When we came up here, just because there wasn't up in the mountains on the Front Range, there's plenty of work for oil and gas, but not necessarily up in the mountains.
Hmm.
So did the property management for a bit, and all of that just kind of circling around real estate for several years, and finally decided to jump into the real estate business.
And Margaret, I'm fascinated. Can you tell us a little bit about the key markets that are around you that really you've delved in? And guys, I'm not kidding. She has by block price per square foot by year. It's ridiculous how dialed she is. But can you tell us a little bit about those markets, Margaret, and what that looks like?
So I'm up in Summit County, Colorado. We're about an hour west of Denver along I-70. And there are 5 different ski areas in Summit County, and about 4 others within about 35 minutes drive. So definitely a tourist market. We've got 4 individual towns in Summit County: Breck, Frisco, Silverthorne, and Dillon. And soon there's going to be a 5th one, because
Mm.
the area around Keystone Resort has decided, just recently voted to incorporate. So, and even with the coast,
Liberty.
yeah.
Yeah, that's my question, Margaret. Did somebody dress up like Mel Gibson from Braveheart and okay, it probably
No,
wasn't like that, was it?
no, a lot of that what came about with the changes in real or the short-term rental markets.
Uh,
The towns have put in rules in place, and the county put in rules in place, and the people around Keystone wanted to make sure that they had their own voice in
mm.
just deciding what they could do with their own properties. So they decided to incorporate, so that they had, the locals had a say.
Well, that dovetails nicely into my next question, Margaret. What are some of the challenges in those markets?
So I looking around at Summit County, there's 3 major challenges in the markets recently: the rapid growth.
Mm.
With COVID and people being able to work remotely, our population has boomed here.
Mm.
So keeping up with the growth in population, it puts strains on infrastructure, water demand, and the availability of housing. The second would be the lack of land for expansion. In Colorado, a lot of areas in Colorado, especially Summit County, a lot of the land is Forest Service,
Mm.
BLM land, state forest land. So that limits where you can grow, at least within Summit County. There is still land. I've heard for years, there's no more land in Summit. There's no more land in Summit. There is. It
Mm.
just takes a lot more work to find it.
Mm-hmm.
We've got one that people are looking at it's about 2.5 acres just outside of Frisco.
Mm.
It would be a great opportunity for somebody who wanted to do that. You could take the land, you could subdivide it into 3 to 5 parcels yourself, build your house, build spec houses on the other 2, sell those other 2, and have your house paid for.
and
So,
some ADUs even to make it extra sexy if you wanted, right?
well, with the rapid growth and the lack of land for expansion, ADUs are a hot topic here.
Mm.
The accessory dwelling units, because we're looking, that leads into the third one, is the affordability of the housing market. So
Mm.
accessory dwelling units are one of the solutions that the county and the towns are looking at in order to find more housing for your locals. The tax valuations, I mean, everyone's heard this everywhere across the country of the increasing appreciation, increasing values, the tax valuations going up. We do them here every 2 years in Colorado. And this last year, the valuations in Summit County increased 60%.
Wow.
So, and so in the past 5 years, like the average price for a 2-bedroom condo, it increased 50 to 80%, depending on where you are in the county. And this is a tourist destination. So most of the people who work here and live here work in the tourism industry, and they can't afford $775 plus per square foot to buy a property. I mean, throughout the county, the average price of a single family home is at 1.8 million.
Wow.
People working in restaurants and at the ski resorts aren't going to be able to afford that.
Yeah. And to that point, what opportunities do you see that spring from that? Have you seen anything that like, oh, well, this is what we should be doing, or what's going on right now to help alleviate that?
So, some is working with state and local municipalities to find ways to make constructing housing more affordable. Other opportunities are looking into, tertiary markets surrounding counties. There are the main surrounding counties are Park, Grand, and Lake County.
As they say, come on down to South Park and meet some friends of mine, Margaret.
South Park, the town there is Fairplay.
That's right.
Fairplay
Absolutely.
is known for, it is the setting for South Park.
Those bastards, they killed Kenny. Oh man.
Yep. They kill Kenny on a regular basis.
That's
so, and that one's just south of Breckenridge. And so a lot of people live there and drive over the pass.
Yeah.
So there's tremendous opportunity for growth there. Over in Leadville, which is to the west of Summit County, that's an old mining town. It still has very much an old mining town feel. The Tabor Opera House is there. And so there's opportunities there that, and both of them are, both Fairplay and Leadville are areas where they wouldn't just serve Summit County. They are kind of, equidistant to Summit County. You can easily get to from Fairplay, you can get to Breck, you can get to Buena Vista, which is a hot summer destination. You can get easily to either Denver or Colorado Springs. So they're great places.
Yeah, it seems like Fairplay has got such opportunities in terms of transit that that secondary route on 285, I believe, is a great way to get into Denver from Fairplay. So it seems like that's a great location.
It's a fabulous location, and it's a nice, sleepy little community. And with the number of workers that live in these tertiary communities, Summit County, one of the neat things about Summit County is the bus service is free. Yep. So you don't have to be right at the slopes, and they provide bus service to the neighboring counties.
That's incredible.
At least to Fairplay and Leadville, so people can work there.
That's an incredible opportunity there in itself, it seems. And Margaret, I'm fascinated in terms of buying a second home. Is this a good time to buy a second home up in that neck of the woods?
Well, I'll tell you, Douglas, I never really liked that question. I really don't, because more so than the market, whether or not you should buy a second home, it depends entirely on your specific situation and what your goals are as far as wealth building and what your financial goals are. And this is an area, would I love everybody to come buy a second home up in Summit County, and especially if they use me as a realtor? Absolutely. But I like to look at it more of how this fits into rather than just the transaction, how it fits into your entire plan. And what are you looking for? Are you looking for just a place to visit, and that maybe someplace that will appreciate? Well, this is a great place for that. Are you looking someplace that you can rent out when you're not using it to offset the cost of ownership? This is a fabulous place for doing that. Are you looking for cash flow that may replace your your W-2? It's an expensive market, and this may not be the best one to choose for that. You can find great cash flowing properties here. They're harder to find, and there's a higher price of entry.
Well, I'm not biased at all, but bottom line, guys, you will not be sorry if you call and reach out to Margaret. She is just so dialed in, and it's just been a privilege, Margaret, frankly, to get to know what you're up to, and thank you so much for sharing your update. And again, we don't really want to, just grind people into the ground with data tonight, but we just wanted to give them an overview. And if this is all an interesting thing to you, 100% reach out to Margaret. Margaret, to that end, what is the best way to get a hold of you?
You can shoot me an email at margaret@crss.homes, or you can give me a call at 970-368-3063.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Margaret, for joining us tonight. This is a great overview of what's going on out there, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I always love talking about Summit County.
It's so much fun.